It started with her fingers. Delicate, cold, almost trembling. They touched my wrist one morning as I reached across the breakfast table for a slice of toast. I remember the way her manicured nails brushed my skin, soft and electric, lingering a moment too long to be accidental. "Morning, darling," she said, eyes glinting behind the rim of her mug. Her lips curled around the edge as she sipped her coffee, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. I wasn't supposed to feel that way. Not about her. Not about Evelyn. She had only been my stepmother for 3 months. My father, Richard, married her after a whirlwind 6-month courtship, returning from a business trip to Italy with her on his arm like some kind of trophy. She was barely older than me, 30 maybe, too young to be married to a 61-year-old real estate tycoon with a sharp tongue and fading patience. I was 22, old enough to know better, young enough to still make every wrong decision. "I made you the eggs the way you like," Evelyn said. Her voice was low, soothing. She always sounded like she was telling a secret. "Thanks," I murmured, swallowing hard, avoiding her eyes. But she leaned closer across the table, the collar of her silk robe slipping open just slightly. Her cleavage was there, bare, rising and falling with each breath. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't accidental. And I didn't look away. We never talked about that morning, but everything shifted after it. The way she moved around the house when Dad wasn't home. The glances, the touches, the slight gasps when I walked into the room unannounced. She wasn't just playing nice. She was hunting. One afternoon, when the heat in LA hung thick in the air and my father was away for a golf weekend in Palm Springs, I came back from the gym, shirt clinging to my body, sweat slick on my skin. I found Evelyn sunbathing by the pool, sprawled out on a chaise lounge, wearing almost nothing. Her white bikini top barely covered her nipples. Her long legs were oiled and crossed, one foot lazily swaying in the air as she scrolled through her phone. She looked up when she heard me. "Well, aren't you a sight?" she said, smiling slow. "You've been working out." "Something like that," I said, voice dry. "You should take a dip. Cool off." She gestured at the water. Her eyes dipped down to my chest and lingered there. I hesitated. "I won't bite ink." Her tongue slid along her lower lip. "Unless you ask nicely." The way she said it, half a joke, but her gaze burned right through me. I couldn't take it anymore. I dropped my gym bag, kicked off my sneakers, and walked toward her instead of the pool. "You know what you're doing, don't you?" I asked, standing over her. She didn't flinch. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you?" I didn't answer. I knelt beside her instead, watching her pupils dilate. My fingers grazed her thigh. Her breath caught. "Your father's not coming back until Sunday," she said. I leaned in until I could smell her perfume, citrus and vanilla and danger. "I know." She lifted her hand to my neck, pulling me closer until our lips touched. The kiss was fire. No hesitation. No guilt, just pure hunger. Her mouth tasted like champagne and sin. Her fingers slipped beneath the waistband of my shorts. We didn't make it inside. I took her right there on the lounge chair, beneath the blazing California sun, as cicadas screamed in the background. Her bikini fell away in pieces. Her body arched beneath me, hot and desperate, her moans tangled with my name. It wasn't slow. It wasn't gentle. She didn't want it to be. "Harder," she gasped, nails digging into my back. "Aiden, fuck, yes, just like that." Every part of me trembled, lost in her. It was wrong. Everything about it screamed that. But neither of us stopped. Her legs wrapped around my waist, pulling me deeper, her breath hot against my neck. "You've wanted this, haven't you?" she whispered. From the moment I walked into this house, I didn't deny it. We came undone together. I collapsed beside her, sweat slick and panting. She turned her face toward me, brushing a thumb along my jaw, and kissed me again, slow this time like she owned me now. "I've never felt this alive," she murmured. "Neither have I admitted. We stayed there until dusk, wrapped in each other, the sky painted in fire and blush above us. When she finally stood, pulling her robe loosely around her body, she looked over her shoulder and smiled. "Come to my room later," she said, and then she walked away, hips swaying, leaving me breathless and damned in the summer heat. I knew this was a game I shouldn't be playing. But Evelyn wasn't just a stepmother. She was temptation itself. She didn't wait for me that night. I found her room lit only by the soft amber glow of a single bedside lamp. The door was slightly ajar, an unspoken invitation. I stood there for a second, heart racing in my chest, the echo of our afternoon still pulsing in my veins. Then I pushed the door open and stepped inside. She was sitting by the vanity, brushing out her long dark hair, wearing nothing but a silk slip that clung to her like a second skin. The fabric barely reached her thighs. Her bare back arched as she turned to look at me through the mirror. "Took you long enough," she said, her voice thick with something between amusement and desire. "You told me to come," I replied, closing the door behind me. "And you obeyed," she smiled. "That's good. I like that." She stood and walked toward me slowly, hips swaying with deliberate grace, every inch of her calculated seduction. When she reached me, she trailed her fingers along my collarbone, her touch feather-light. "Are you scared?" she whispered, lips brushing against my ear. "No, liar." She kissed me then, deep and slow, like she wanted to taste every secret I was still holding back. My hands found her waist, sliding down her curves as the silk slipped away beneath my fingers. She pulled my shirt over my head and pressed her body against mine. "God, you feel so young," she murmured against my neck. "So warm." "Evelyn." "Shoo." She placed a finger over my lips. "I don't want to hear anything but your breathing, and the way you say my name when you come." It was all lust after that. No room for logic, no space for guilt. We tumbled in her bed, tangled in sheets and sweat and desperate touches. Her skin tasted of salt and forbidden sweetness. Her nails left trails down my chest, and her lips found places on my body no one had ever dared to explore. She was in control. She moved like she'd done this 100 times, but every time she looked at me, it felt personal, intimate, like I was special, like I was the only man that existed to her. "You don't know how long I've wanted this," she whispered as she straddled me, her breath heavy, her hips grinding down slowly, agonizingly. "You don't know how long I've watched you, imagining what it would feel like. You're married to my father," I choked out between gasps. "And yet, here you are," she moaned, rocking her body against mine, "fucking me like you were born to." I couldn't argue with that. My hands gripped her hips tighter. Her moans filled the room, muffled by the pillow when she leaned forward, kissing my throat, biting gently, marking me. We came again, hard and fast this time, and after, she curled up beside me like nothing was wrong, tracing circles on my chest, her breath warm against my skin. "You don't feel guilty?" I asked her, not sure I even wanted the answer. "Do you?" she countered, not looking at me. I didn't reply. "Good," she whispered, pressing a soft kiss over my heart. "Because there's nothing to feel guilty about." We slept for a while, or at least she did. I laid there awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together what the hell I had done. But every time I moved to get up, she stirred, pulling me back down into her arms like she couldn't bear to let go. By morning, we acted like nothing had happened. We came down separately for breakfast. She was already in the kitchen, humming to herself, dressed in a casual sundress that still managed to be sexy as hell. "Coffee?" she asked, handing me a steaming mug. I nodded, avoiding her gaze. My hands were still trembling. "You okay, Aiden?" she said softly, her voice full of mock concern. "You look pale." Was it a one-time thing?" I finally asked. She laughed, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Oh, sweet boy," she said, stepping closer. "This is just the beginning." I swallowed hard. "He'll find out. Then don't be stupid and get caught." The way she said it, casual like it was obvious. Like this wasn't the most fucked up situation either of us could be in. "I don't understand you," I muttered. "You will," she said, leaning up to kiss my cheek. Eventually, she went out later that day, saying she had errands to run. I stayed in, trying to clear my head, trying to convince myself that this wasn't real, that maybe I was just her fantasy for a lonely weekend. But I knew better. That night, she came into my room. No words, just her body against mine again, her fingers unbuckling my belt in the dark, her mouth silencing every protest I might have had. We made love slower this time. Or maybe it wasn't love at all, just a deeper, darker craving. She kissed me like she needed it, like she needed me. Her body moved with a quiet hunger, dragging pleasure out of me until I could barely breathe. "I'm addicted to this," she whispered as she lay on top of me, our bodies still tangled. "To you." "What?" I asked, half drunk on her. She was quiet for a long moment. "Because you remind me of someone I once knew. Someone I lost." "Who?" But she only smiled and placed her finger on my lips again. "Don't ask questions, Aiden." "Not yet." And just like that, she fell asleep beside me, lips curved into something that wasn't quite satisfaction, more like victory. The next week passed in a haze of stolen glances, lingering touches in empty hallways, and late-night visits to my room. Evelyn was insatiable, both in the way she moved and the way she stared at me afterward, as if trying to memorize every inch of my skin. She always left before dawn, slipping back into her role as the perfect wife, the devoted stepmother. I didn't recognize myself anymore. The boy who once respected boundaries, who believed in right and wrong. He was gone, replaced by something hungry, something addicted to her scent, her taste, the sound of her whispering my name in the dark. "Aiden, I'm worried about you," my friend Marcus said one afternoon when we met up for coffee in town. "You've been off lately." "I'm fine." "You haven't been to practice. You're skipping classes." I said I'm fine. I snapped a little too loud. Marcus raised his hands. All right. Just whatever's going on. Don't let it eat you alive." But it already was. That night, she waited for me in the garden. The sky was bruised purple and gold, the air warm and heavy with the scent of summer roses. Evelyn wore a black silk robe tied loosely at the waist. Her hair was pinned up, stray curls falling around her neck. "You're late," she said without looking at me. I stepped closer, had to sneak away. She turned, eyes glinting with mischief. "What if I said I want you to stop sneaking? What if I said I want you to take me? Right here, out in the open?" "Are you insane?" "No, I am starving." Her hands found my chest, sliding down to my belt. Before I could answer, she dropped to her knees, right there between the roses and the stone bench, her mouth wrapping around me in one slow, sinful motion. My fingers tangled in her hair, my breath ragged. I could feel the thrill of exposure, of danger, pulsing with every beat of my heart. Afterward, she sat beside me, head resting on my shoulder. "Why me?" I asked quietly. "Why not someone your age? Someone safe?" She laughed. "Because safe is boring." That's not a real answer. She tilted her head, watching me. "Do you believe in fate, Aiden?" "No, Edo. I believe in patterns, in revenge, in balance." She paused. "Your father wasn't always the man you know." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" But she shook her head, smiling as if I were a child asking about monsters under the bed. "Not yet," she whispered. "Not tonight." The next morning, I woke up alone. For the first time in days, she hadn't stayed. There was no text, no note, just the faintest trace of her perfume on my pillow. I waited all day, pacing my room like a caged animal, craving her touch more than I cared to admit. Evening came. Dinner was quiet. She sat beside my father, laughing softly at his stories, passing him the wine like nothing had happened between us. I stared at her, numb, furious. How could she shift so easily between the roles? "Everything okay, son?" my father asked. "Fine," I muttered, pushing food around my plate. Evelyn met my eyes across the table and winked. That night, I waited for her. Midnight came, then one. Still nothing. The silence was deafening. I wanted to scream, to punch a wall, to demand an answer. Around 2 in the morning, I heard soft footsteps outside my door. My breath caught. I waited, heart pounding. But she didn't come in. She slipped into my father's room. My stomach twisted. I felt sick. I got up, walked down the hall barefoot, each step heavier than the last. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. The door was cracked open just enough. Her robe was on the floor. She was straddling him, moving slowly, sensually, whispering something in his ear. I backed away like I'd been punched in the gut. She wasn't mine. She never was. I didn't sleep. The next day, I avoided her. She noticed, of course. She found me in the study, curled up with a book I wasn't reading. Aiden, she said softly, talk to me. Don't you have my dad to fuck? I snapped, not looking up. She walked in, closed the door behind her. Is that what this is about? What else would it be? She came to me, knelt beside my chair, took my hand. That was for show. For him. You know that. No, I don't, I said coldly. I don't know anything about you. She studied me in silence. You're hurt. No shit. Evelyn exhaled slowly. Your mother, she started, then stopped. She was good. Too good. She didn't deserve what he did to her. What are you talking about? Do you really want to know? Her voice was suddenly colder, sharper. Yes. She stood, walked to the window, arms crossed. Your father was a charming bastard. He broke women without lifting a finger. Your mother was one of them. So was I, years ago. My chest tightened. What do you mean was? I loved him. Foolishly. He used me. Tossed me aside when your mother got pregnant. I was 19. Alone. Angry. My world tilted. You're saying you knew him before he married my mom? She turned, her eyes full of something unreadable. Yes. Then why marry him now? She walked up to me again, touched my cheek. Because some debts must be paid. Some pain must be returned. My voice shook. So I'm what? A pawn in your revenge. She didn't deny it. She only whispered, you made it so easy. And just like that, the illusion shattered. I didn't speak to her for days. I couldn't. Every time I saw her, I was ripped between the ache of wanting her and the nausea of knowing what I'd become in her story. I wasn't her secret lover. I was her weapon. I was the punishment she designed for a man I still called my father. I barely ate, barely slept. My thoughts were a hurricane. Late one evening, I heard a soft knock on my bedroom door. I didn't answer. I expected her to leave. But Evelyn never did what I expected. The door creaked open. She stepped inside barefoot, wearing one of my shirts, the white one I left on the bathroom floor days ago. I miss you, she said. I laughed bitterly. Is that supposed to mean something now? She shut the door. It's the truth. Truth. I stood up furious. You used me. You planned this. You played with me like some goddamn doll. I didn't plan to fall for you, she said quietly. You're lying. I'm not. Her voice broke. I wanted to believe her. That was the worst part. Despite everything, despite knowing what she was, my mind still remembered the curve of her smile, the softness of her skin, the way she whispered my name when no one else could hear. My body still burned for her, even while my heart bled. I don't know what's real with you anymore, I said. She stepped closer. This is... She took my hand, placed it over her chest. Her heartbeat raced beneath my palm. I didn't expect you, Aiden. I came here to hurt him. But then I saw you. God, the way you looked at me that first night in the garden. Like I wasn't a villain. Like I was beautiful. You are, I said before I could stop myself. Her lips brushed mine, tentative, trembling. The kiss deepened, filled with desperation and something else. Guilt, maybe, or forgiveness. Or both. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. She pulled off the shirt slowly, revealing skin I already knew too well and yet craved like the first time. I stripped for her in silence, my hands shaking. We fell into bed together like people dying of thirst, drinking each other in, gasping for air. She moved like she was trying to erase the past, like if we kissed hard enough, touched deep enough, maybe none of it would matter. Maybe we could just exist here, in this heat, this madness. When it was over, I lay beside her, our bodies tangled under the sheets. She whispered, I never stopped wanting revenge, but I didn't know I'd want you more. I turned my face toward her. So now what? You stay married to him? Keep pretending nothing's happening. I want to leave him. My breath caught. What? I want to run, she said. With you. I sat up. Evelyn, I'm serious. And go where? Start what? You think we could just disappear? You think I can live knowing I betrayed him and destroyed everything? You already did, she said calmly. There's nothing left to protect. You say that like it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't. He's not the man you think he is. Then tell me. I demanded. Tell me everything. She looked at me a long time before speaking. Years ago, your father met my mother. She was young, naive, working as a maid at a summer estate. He charmed her, slept with her, promised her everything. My blood ran cold. She got pregnant. That was me. He knew, but he told her to get rid of me. She didn't. So he ruined her, paid her off, moved on like we never existed. I sat perfectly still. You're lying. She shook her head. No, I'm your sister, Aiden. Half-sister. The room spun. Everything in me went hollow. No, that's not. I stood up, nearly tripping over the blanket. She didn't flinch. I didn't know when I first came here. I found out later, after we were already in too deep. My stomach turned. This is sick. I know. You should have told me. You should have stopped it. I couldn't, she whispered. I tried, but then I saw him again. The same cold, polished monster, laughing like nothing he did ever mattered. So you seduced his son? I wanted him to feel what my mother felt. Helpless. Betrayed. Broken. And what about me? I shouted. What about what I feel now? Tears spilled from her eyes. I never wanted to fall for you. But you did. My voice cracked. She nodded. I couldn't look at her. I grabbed my clothes and started pulling them on, my hands clumsy, heart racing. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know. I choked. Away. From this. From you. Aiden. Don't. She didn't stop me. Maybe she knew she couldn't. I walked out into the night barefoot, half-dressed, cold air biting at my skin. My mind screamed, recoiled, collapsed. I had crossed a line I could never uncross. And worst of all, I had loved it. I didn't go home that night. I wandered the streets for hours, cold and hollow, trying to make sense of something that could never make sense. The city blurred around me. Lights smeared through rain, faces I didn't recognize, voices I couldn't hear over the roar inside my skull. I ended up at a cheap hotel just before sunrise, checking in with shaking hands, my name barely a whisper. The room was small, beige, lifeless, exactly what I needed. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Images kept flashing in my mind. Evelyn's lips on mine, her moans in the dark, her eyes, haunted and beautiful. Her words, I'm your sister. No matter how I turned it over in my head, I couldn't undo what had already been done. We had crossed a line that should never be touched. And we hadn't just touched it, we had burned it down. When I finally returned to the house, it was nearly dusk. I didn't know why I came back. Closure? Answers? The front door was ajar. My heart sank. I stepped inside slowly, the air heavy with silence. The house felt abandoned, as if something had slipped out of it and taken a warmth with it. Evelyn. I called softly. No answer. I climbed the stairs and found her in my father's study. She stood near the window, dressed in black. Not seductive this time. Grief had settled into her features. Or maybe guilt. On the desk was a single sheet of paper and a gun. My blood turned to ice. Evelyn, I whispered. What did you do? She turned to me. He knows. I felt the world tilt. What? I told him everything. I couldn't breathe. Why the hell would you? I wanted to end it. All of it. The lies. The manipulation, us. I stepped forward. Where is he? She looked away. Gone. I followed her eyes to the desk. The paper had my father's handwriting on it. Just one line. I loved you, Aiden. I'm sorry. I stumbled back. No. He shot himself, she said numbly. An hour ago. I sank into the chair beside the desk. My limbs were shaking. Why would he? He knew what he did. To my mother. To me. To you. I didn't want this, Aiden. Her voice cracked. I wanted revenge, but not this. You got it. I spat, more angry with myself than her. You wanted him broken, and now he's gone. I wanted him to feel pain, not death. I didn't expect him to. You didn't expect anything, I snapped. You came here with a loaded heart and played games with real people. With me. She walked toward me, slow and fragile. And yet you played too. I couldn't argue. I had touched the fire knowing full well it would burn me. And I had let it. She knelt beside me, her hands on my thighs. What we did, it was wrong. I know that. But I loved you. In some twisted, impossible way. I did. I wanted to push her away. I wanted to hold her. I did neither. She leaned in. Her breath brushed my neck. I'm leaving tonight, she whispered. They'll come for his estate. There will be lawyers. Police. Questions. I can't stay. I said nothing. I thought you should know the truth before I go. She placed something in my hand, a small envelope. Inside was a picture, faded, worn, a young woman smiling in the sunlight. I recognized her eyes. They were Evelyn's, and in some terrible way, they were mine too. My mother, she said. She never stopped loving him, even after everything. I nodded slowly. What does that mean for us? She gave me a sad smile. It means we survive, however we can. She stood up, kissed the top of my head. Goodbye, Aiden. She walked out of the study. I heard her footsteps down the stairs, the soft click of the front door, and then nothing. I sat in that chair for what felt like hours, staring at my father's note, the gun, the photograph. Everything I thought I knew about my family, my identity, my desire, it had all been rewritten in blood and lust and secrets. I was no longer the boy who grew up in this house. I was something else now, something bruised, hardened, alone. Weeks passed. I buried my father with no ceremony. No mourners, just silence. His secrets went into the ground with him. The estate went into probate. Evelyn was gone. No trafe, no forwarding address. Just shadows and rooms she once haunted. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see her. Feel her breath on my skin. Hear her say my name like a prayer and a curse all at once. And sometimes I wonder if she was right. Maybe survival is the only thing left after all the damage is done. But then I look at the picture she left me, at the smile of a woman who loved the wrong man, paid the price, and brought two broken children into a world that never gave them a chance. And I think, maybe love isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it's a ruin, and sometimes ruins are all we ever have to call home.